From West Hollywood, it's my WeHo world. I'm here with the Honorable Mayor Jeffery Prang. Did I pronounce that right?
Sort of.
Sort of. Well,
came close. Prang.
Prang.
You got a little bit of
It almost sounds Japanese.
I've been asked if I'm.
Are you Japanese?
No.
Well, you're turning Japanese.
I have Japanese in-laws.
You have Japanese in. There you go. There you go. So, thanks for coming, Jeff.
Sure.
It's a Friday night. It's a holiday weekend, and I really appreciate you coming in. So, there's just so many questions about West Hollywood City Hall and the mayorship and everything. Now, you just became mayor pro temp.
I'm the mayor.
You were the mayor.
I was the mayor pro temp. I was promoted.
How does that work?
The members of the city council are elected to a 4-year term, but under California law, what's called general law, cities are required to reorganize annually. And so we have, in terms of a reorganization, that means selecting somebody to serve as mayor.
Right.
And so in West Hollywood, the custom is that everybody gets a turn to be mayor before you get a second turn. Some cities politicize it, and if there's a faction, the majority faction doesn't let the minority faction be the mayor. But it changes every year. You get 12 months. And one of the things, this is what's kind of interesting about California government. Everybody thinks of city government, and they look at LA and San Francisco and San Diego as the model.
Right.
But those are an anomaly. Most cities do not elect the mayor. There's about 500 cities in California. The vast majority of them, probably 80%, 85%, are like West Hollywood, where the mayor is selected by the city council and changes annually. Cities where a mayor is elected, like LA, are there's only a handful that do that.
So you were selected?
I was selected by the members of the city council.
Okay. Was that a vote in private, or did you know you were going to be? How did that go? Could you vote for yourself?
You can, yes.
You can.
City councils can't do anything in private except for litigation and property negotiation. So it was done in March.
So you know how Abilan and John Duran and John D'Amico and John Howman and who am I missing?
I think that's it.
They
all voted for me.
They all voted.
And we have a custom, a culture in West Hollywood that everybody kind of understands.
So don't you think that's kind of like a scapegoat? There's like takes the heat off of you if someone's done something wrong before. He's not the mayor or she's not the mayor anymore.
Well, the people think the mayor's in charge, and the reality is the mayor is not in charge. The mayor, it's a ceremonial position. You chair the meetings. You sign.
It's like the Queen of England. It's just for the whole scepter.
The mayor is equally as influential as any member of the city council. All decisions are made by majority vote, and everybody gets one vote. The mayor has a little bit more cachet, and you get to run the meeting, so you get to decide who speaks first. But other than that, council members are not subordinate to me. I don't have any authority over them. We do everything together. We are a joint executive legislative branch.
Right. So you have no really more power than anybody else. It's just your title. It's just really a title.
There's a few a few responsibilities that I have that are
signing
different.
Papers
and I can call certain meetings, but I also serve at the pleasure of the council. The city council can remove me as mayor at any time.
Now, how long have you been on the council?
Since 1997. This is my fourth time serving as mayor.
So 1997, 2000. So you're on 15.
Just over 15
years.
That's correct.
15 years. That's a long time.
It is a long time.
Now Abby Land's on for.
She was on for 11 years in her first round, and she's now been on for, I guess, about 8 or 9 years. So I think she's been on for a total of 20 years. 20. John Heilman since 1984, which is what, 26
Now, these are extreme numbers, Jeff. Don't you think for anyone to be in a public office and to hold these seats?
I think it speaks well to the work that we're doing on the council. People like what we've been doing with the city, and you develop a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge on how things operate.
Mm-hmm. But like our presidency changes every 4 years, and our government and our governor, and there's an election.
Our member of Congress, Henry Waxman, has been in Washington since 1974.
You don't feel it leaves the door open for corruption in any way?
No, I don't.
You don't?
I think it leaves the door open for better quality services. You have people who really understand the community, people who really understand how government works. And in West Hollywood, people in West Hollywood are it's a very sophisticated electorate. And the people in West Hollywood are not sleepy folks like they were in Bell, not paying attention to local government. You come to our meetings on Monday nights, and that room is full.
Oh, yeah, I've been to those meetings.
People in West Hollywood know what we are doing. They know what the issues are.
They know a lot what you're doing. They know a lot what you're doing.
They know how much we're being paid. They know how much we're spending. They know what the programs are.
Well, your last mayor, John Duran, there seemed to be some articles going on about his spending and his expense accounts. Does everyone get a city credit card to go out and have dinner on? Like, I know there's a whole...
There are a number of people in the city who were issued city credit cards. Mm-hmm. Department heads, the city manager. The city council was issued cards. I never took one. I didn't.
You didn't take one?
Well, I gave it back shortly after I got elected. I just decided that was...
So you could choose to take that card or not take that card?
That's correct. Well, right now, none of the council has... The cards have been taken away. No city council member
When were they taken away?
Last year.
Last year.
Right.
And now this whole thing exploded. Okay, I believe it was on the West Hollywood Patch, was the first story to release it about John Duran and his expenses. And some people have said on the blogs, well, that's perfectly reasonable spending for the last 4 years that he's been spending. I think it was between $7,000 and $10,000. Some people are all up in arms about it. And then you say you didn't take a card at all.
What's important is that the city has policies in place. You can't spend money just for yourself because you're hungry and you want to have dinner. There has to be a legitimate. there has to be.
Well, you've been hungry before.
Well, but when you do that, you pay for it yourself. But but there are legitimate city reasons why you would want to have business-related meals. Now, one of the things that a lot of people don't know. City council members are not and never have been full-time jobs.
No.
LA's the exception. So, like me, like John, like the rest of us, sometimes when the residents want to meet with you, when businesses want to meet with you, sometimes it's over breakfast, it's over lunch, it's over dinner, because that's the time you have.
Hey, I had to meet with you on an issue. You live by everybody. So we say we're going to go to Merrick's for.
Right.
And we say then you could say, well, hey, I'm going to pick this up. We had a.
If there's a legitimate city purpose in having those meals, and mealtime is a convenient time for part-time officials to meet, those are within policy. You have to turn in receipts. You have to explain who you met with, what the purpose of the meeting was, and whether or not it was a legitimate meeting.
So why all this explosion all of a sudden over John Duran's expense account?
That was
Is it nitpicking? Or?
That was the district attorney, and the district attorney decided that he thinks that he shouldn't.
Is that his way of saying, "Hey, I'm doing my job," so he just picked John Duran out of a hat, or did something get flagged with him?
Yeah, what happened is there was a complaint issued with the DA in the 2011 elections. Mm-hmm. There were complaints made against some city employees. The DA came in, took out all the records, and I guess John is the one they decided to look at. But it seems to be, the DA's case seems to be very flimsy, and even they admit that it's a test case. They don't have any other.
Well, when that was announced, did the other council members kind of get thinking like, what's going on here? Kind of like just from the terms get nervous.
We looked at all the spending records by all city council members. We reviewed all the expenses that each one of us made. We compared them against our city policy to make sure everything was done on the according to the policy and according to the law. Mm-hmm. Each one of us took responsibility for our own, and we've been just monitoring to see how things develop. Right now it's with the district attorney. The city is not involved. I'm not involved. It's
right.
It's John.
Kind of like what John Edwards is going through right now with his a little bit larger scale.
I do think that the information, the evidence which I have seen, I think that the district attorney's case with John Duran is flimsy. I don't think it's
it's not going to hold water.
If the DA believes that the law says you should never take people for business dinners, he should have sent out a notification to local elected officials and say, don't do that anymore, otherwise we'll prosecute you. Because if there's 88 cities in LA County, and I guarantee you that in most of those cities, council members have breakfast, lunches, and dinners which are billed, which are covered by city funds. And why John was selected and not somebody from Hawaiian Gardens or Monrovia, I don't know. It just seems to be a luck of the draw.
Well, everyone has to, do their job, I guess, and it's just the way the tides of life go. Yeah. Talk about another. West Hollywood is growing continuously. We're having huge buildings. There's the new library next door.
Right.
And another very, very, very hot topic or controversial topic is Plummer Park. It seems that the residents really don't want this project. You guys have gone back to the drawing table on Plummer Park, and I think it's going to be a real Achilles heel for some people. Well, what is your feeling on it?
Well, Plummer Park is part of a several-phased capital investment program that the city started a few years ago, including the library, West Hollywood Park, the parking structure at City Hall, and we wanted to invest significantly in upgrading Plummer Park. We went through a very, very lengthy public process to develop a plan.
Just to interject here, was it at first? Maybe I just woke up to this. Was it at first that the people were all for this, but then they just didn't like your plan? What went wrong here? Because I've seen YouTube videos, I've seen videos posted on Facebook with John Duran with a hatchet in his. Not. This is not really good press for you guys.
Well, just so you know, there were 90 different meetings that took place in developing that plan for Plummer Park. There's about $40 million that has been budgeted to execute that plan. We do the best we can do to notify the public, to tell them what we're doing. We put together a citizens-based planning committee. A lot of people from the public who sat on that committee and came up with this plan. However, just sometimes, despite your best efforts to reach out to people, to explain to them what's happening, a lot of people are, they're working, they're raising families, they
can't attend every meeting. I can't attend every meeting.
And they may not even be paying attention. You get those notices from the city and say, just another city notice, and you throw it away.
Like in your apartment building, you get a notice for shutting the water off that day. Nothing you can do about it.
Sometimes, despite your best efforts, you don't reach everybody, and when the message gets out there, people respond differently. So there's a lot of people who don't like the plan.
I'd say they're responding pretty much to
They are now, and I think we got the message, at least I got the message, that they didn't like some of the ingredients in this plan. I don't like some of the ingredients in the plan. And
what is the budget for Plummer Park? 45 million?
I think the overall plan was in the low 40 millions. And
why? Why did they decide? Why Plummer Park? That's such a beautiful park. They're going to rip up oak trees. Well, when you start ripping up a tree, people are going to start questioning anything.
I'm not defending the plan because there's a number of elements to the plan that I don't like, and I support, and I agree with a lot of the residents. But here was the plan: that by putting the parking underground, we can double or triple the amount of open space. And parks are usually about open space, trees and vegetation.
Good point. Very good point. Very good
point. And just like we have here at West Hollywood Park, we have the park on top of the library parking garage.
Right.
That added over an acre of park space to West Hollywood Park.
And it came out beautiful.
It came out beautiful.
It came out absolutely beautiful. Yay! We did something right.
So the plan was to do the same thing. The other thing is you have Fiesta Hall, which is a great building. But it's
Fiesta Hall?
Fiesta Hall.
And
that's the auditorium at Plummer Park.
At Plummer Park, right.
The acoustics inside are terrible.
I've been in there, yeah. I've been there.
It's not really oriented to interface with the park, so we wanted to change the orientation from facing Vista Street to facing the park, put like a shell so we can do concerts in the park, and make it much more functional in terms of park recreational needs. The challenge was, and what I object to, is that this old Spanish-style building, and they wanted to put the new addition looked like something out of the Jetsons. It was ultra space age, and people thought, well, that's not the small, cozy little Spanish-style park that we have, and they didn't like the design. The function they seem okay with. They didn't like the design, And then there's a couple buildings out there, Great Hall and Long Hall, which were built in 1938. They're Works Project Administration, Depression-era buildings. And a lot of people have an affection toward them. They're historic, and they like to keep them.
Well, you know, a lot of people are saying, I think like you said, a lot of people are just waking, a lot of people maybe just realized this within the last year or two since there's so much controversy about it. All right, a lot of people are saying, why are we spending all this money? We just got done spending $65 million on this library, okay, plus another X amount of million was raised for to stock it. The people, don't you feel the citizens are saying, stop, slow down, let's halt everything?
Well, clearly that's what they're saying.
Right.
But remember that the plan to improve parks, to build libraries, to build parking structures, this is not a punishment. These are benefits that we're representatives of the people, and our job is to provide benefit to the people who live here. Having nice parks, upgraded parks with modern amenities is an important thing. Most people think when you improve parks that that's a positive thing.
Yeah.
But the difference is here that people don't like the improvements.
Yeah, I think if you knock on 100 doors, you'll get 100 different answers.
Right,
Have you ever been to Egypt?
No.
I was to Egypt. I actually slipped in between with the riots. I was actually there right after they burned down the Marriott right next to the Egyptian Museum, and I actually got into the pyramids. You cannot believe the size of those stones. There's no show that I've ever seen on Discovery or History Channel that really shows you the actual size. How the heck did they build these things?
The History Channel said it was aliens. I've been watching
I truly believer of that, because it's a miracle. I slipped in right after the riots. I almost canceled twice, all right, and then the State Department opened it up. I got in, and now you can't go again.
I think it was like ancient undocumented workers.
Yeah, it's not. I got news for you. I don't think it's the people that are living there now.
Probably not. They're very old.
Yeah, they are, but they are mystifying, and the Sphinx, and it was just an absolutely fabulous trip. Anyhow, so back to our own pyramid here in West Hollywood. West Hollywood has some incredible benefits for people living here. Like, okay, for the taxi coupon. Okay, how is that arranged?
We do a lot of things. If you are if you are of unlimited income, if you're a senior, if you're living with HIV or other types of disabilities, there is just a myriad of programs that we provide that help make your life more comfortable and more manageable. Taxi coupons. It's a program where you can.
How does that work?
You get if you qualify.
What are the qualifications? Do you know the qualifications?
You generally have to be a senior disabled on a limited income, and you qualify for a certain number of coupons per month, and then you can use those to go to your doctor, to go to the grocery store. Maybe a small fee that goes along with them. It's heavily subsidized.
Now, somebody wanted to find out about these benefits, would they just go on to westhollywoodcityhall.com?
They could go to weho.org and get that information. They could go into City Hall. They can call. The benefits are managed through our social services division. There's other transportation programs. We have something called Dial a Ride. If you want to come,
I see that, and there's also the City Line.
We got City Line for.
Now, how does that work? I tried to wave them down once, but they just went right by me.
They have fixed stops. If you go to fixed stops,
you got to be at the right stop.
You got to be at the right stop, and I'm not sure how much it costs. It's a quarter or 50 cents. It'll take you anywhere in the city. Dial a Ride. If you want to come to a city council meeting, you're a senior citizen and don't get around very well, you can call the Dial a Ride. They'll come pick you up and bring you to the council meeting and take you home.
Really?
They'll take you to the
free of charge.
Free of charge.
Free of charge. And the City Line is you have to be at a specific spot.
Yes.
And you call them ahead of time? Because
no, you don't have to call them ahead of time. They have a fixed route, but they only operate during certain hours during the day.
Well, they must think I'm a crazy person because I went a few times. Hey, stop! Yeah. Okay, they flipped me the bird and kept on going. I said, I know Jeffery Prang. And then
that's when they flipped you the bird.
That's when they flipped me the bird and stepped on the gas. Okay. Well, West Hollywood is a very diverse gay city. Okay. I spent a lot of time. I used to live in Florida. I was born and raised in Pennsylvania, but my grandparents moved to Florida in 1962. So I have a lot of friends. I went back and forth a lot. I lived there a couple of years. There's a town in Fort Lauderdale, an island city called Wilton Manors. And when I go there and I say I'm from West Hollywood, they say, "Oh, we're modeling our city after West Hollywood." And like they're always asking me like, well, how do you guys do this? How do you do that? And They have a thing there called the Wilton Manors Hopper.
Mm-hmm.
It's a natural gas powered, which gives you a ride that goes up and down.
Shuttle.
A shuttle. And I brought that up to one of the council members. I think it was John D'Amico and Abby Land. It was Abby Land. And but Abby brought up a point. She says, we could do that. She says, but we're going to have the taxi companies getting mad at us because that's going to cut into their revenue.
Not necessarily.
No,
they're not people who ride taxis and shuttles. That's
exactly.
Financially and qualitatively different, and the manner in which you use them are different. We're talking about creating a trolley, which is a shuttle, a nighttime trolley that might take you from parking structures and parking lots up and down the boulevard to the various.
Well, how about from the bar to my house? What do I have to do?
No, that's when you get the taxi.
That's when that's when you get the taxi.
But you know, I'm flattered that Wilton Manors looks to us, and actually one of the things we take a great deal of pride in is that West Hollywood is really viewed as a model city. You know, we are constantly copied and discussed by other municipalities of similar size across this country because, one, we're very fortunate that we have a very strong revenue base. We're a relatively wealthy city. So we have the resources to do creative programs and services. To you know when you're in West Hollywood leaving LA because the potholes stop.
Our roads are manicured. Our trees are manicured.
When there are basic municipal services, those things are taken care of. We don't have to skimp on dollars, and we haven't had to lay people off or furlough them during this recession.
What would you like to see? West Hollywood, what would you like to see more of or less of in West Hollywood? Or what do you think we could do to become even better? What is on Jeffery Prang's mind?
Well, I am concerned, the city has been gentrifying over the last 20 years. Actually, our success has actually changed a lot of what people remember West Hollywood 30 years ago. And we can't change growth, we can't change progress, but we need to work very hard to protect those things, those elements of West Hollywood that make it special. The Boys Town area has been the historic center of gay and lesbian culture, life, and social activities for decades. But
I came here.
But it's not the same. It's not it may not remain the center forever. You have Silver Lake and Los Feliz. You have in Latino neighborhoods in East LA and other parts of South LA and Long Beach. We're not the only game in town anymore. So we have to work harder to make sure that we continue to be.
I have a lot of gay people come up to me and ask, like, why rents are getting so expensive here that they're saying West Hollywood, the city council, or whatever you want to label that as, really doesn't want gay people here. They want straight people with families. What do you say to that?
4 out of 5 members of the city council are gay.
Yeah, well, that I know.
That's just patently absurd. But also, city council doesn't establish rents. Those are established by the people who own the building that you live in.
But of course, people are always going to blame who's ever sitting on these boards. It's kind of the board of governors.
It's kind of like they blame the president for gas prices.
Right.
The president doesn't set gas prices.
No, the president doesn't set gas.
But there is an issue that they raise, which I'm concerned about. I am concerned about the loss of what we call workforce housing. Rent-controlled buildings, which may be expensive when you move in, but the rents are stabilized when you move in and you can afford to stay there. What we've been seeing in recent years is developers coming in, tearing down an 8-unit apartment building and building an 8-unit condominium building.
Which they're doing on my street on Kings Road. They ripped down 2 houses, which we kind of fought. We wanted to make that a park, but it was an area where we felt that the council members kind of just blew us away. All right, and so I figured, well,
we didn't do that. You can't. One of the mistakes or misunderstandings that people had in the neighborhood is that you had a couple pieces of property that are worth millions of dollars. The city doesn't have millions of dollars to buy property to put a park in a neighborhood. If you're going to come up with a parks plan, you don't do it based on where.
No, of course you would have to create an initiative to buy it. It was too late. But when they do build, does the city make it mandatory for them to have X amount of Section 8 for people that are on low income? Is that a rule now?
Well, it's not Section 8. It's called inclusionary housing.
Inclusionary housing.
Section 8 is a federal program. It's a voucher program.
Right.
Inclusionary housing, all new development requires that 20% of the units built have to be for affordable housing, for low and moderate. And low and moderate housing definition is you have to qualify for that type of housing. You and I probably wouldn't wouldn't qualify for it.
Oh, you'd be surprised. I live on a wing and a prayer.
Most people that qualify for that housing live on SSI, Social Security, disability. And it's not the same thing as, it's not something a 25-year-old kid who just moved out here from Nebraska, starting his career.
And West Hollywood is a mess. The young people come here. I feel old anyway.
Yeah, I came here when I was 25 years old, and we had rent control, and I was able to afford to live here. If I were in the same conditions I were when I moved here at 25, I wouldn't be able to afford to live in West Hollywood today.
Well, I'm here exactly 25 and a half years right now. I came here when I was 27. I first lived in Sherman Oaks, then Encino, and then I moved over here. I had 3 places on King, so it was just all up the road. And it's just like, wow. I mean, you have to be, if you're going to buy here, you have to be a wealthy person.
It used to be the gay population in West Hollywood has remained relatively stable as a percentage of the total population, but the average age is much more than it used to be 30 years ago, and the average income is much higher more, than it used to be.
Well,
so
people like you and me, we've gotten older.
Right. So
you're going to be 50, you said, pretty soon.
No,
Happy birthday!
2 weeks.
Yeah, you look great. You don't look a day over 30.
I'm told I could pass for 49.
Well, you know what? We're out of time.
Well, this has been fun. Thank you so
very
much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great show.